What do you see?
I see a pig and a dog.
Really? Just kidding. Okay, the black stripe on the dog, is it right over the middle of the pig?
Yes. No, a little bit to the left side.
Like towards the tail?
Yeah.
All right, so we're joined today by Thomas Rosenmüller from Munich, Germany. He's 28 years old, young rising star on the PGA Tour. I've had the pleasure of working with Thomas several times out here at TPI, so I'm looking forward to seeing how he's doing. Hey everyone, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. If you enjoy content like this, the best thing you can do to help support our channel is hit the like and subscribe button below. If you do that, we'll notify you once new content's launched. Thanks for watching my TPI. How's the wedge?
My distance wedges are not as good as my long iron play, but they're not killing me. What's killing me is I can't get up and down. I can't make putts outside 10 feet. I'm 175th in short game, 174th in putting. So that's really where a lot of the issues are at.
You said I can't get up and down. Is it because of the putting or is it because of the chipping?
Both.
So
hand in hand. I don't chip it close enough, and then I leave myself lengthier putts that just by simple stats you're less likely to make.
You have two parts of the game. You have the long game and you have the short game. And there's nothing more frustrating in golf than seeing your long game improve, but then your short game lets you down and now you're struggling with your score. So this is a really frustrating thing for a lot of players. Irma's assisting me today. He's helping me out here. All right, so you're putting yourself in scoring position. You're just not scoring enough.
It really feels like I'm playing a lot better than I did last year, which I had a successful season on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Right.
I'm playing better than last year, and I'm scoring significantly worse.
So putting inside 10 feet is not a problem?
Not really. No.
What putter are you using? What graphics are on the putter and lines on the ball, all that stuff?
I've switched putters a few times this year because of different issues. The putter that I used last year, it broke in Saudi Arabia.
Was this from you hitting it against the ground? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No.
So equipment fitting is obviously one of the most important things in golf. That's from your driver all the way to your putter. When it comes to the putter, of course, things like length of the putter, the lie angle, the loft of the putter, those are all critically important to make sure the ball rolls properly. But even the shape of the putter matters. A lot of times players visually can just see shapes better and align different shapes better. So sometimes the shape of the putter can make a huge difference, and even the markings on the putter. Like if you have a line or a dot, some of these little markings can really help you, and sometimes they can really distract you.
I just picked up a Scotty Cameron T95 with a plumber's neck and a UST all-in shaft. I was using the X5 or the Phantom T5 with a top line and a back line.
What's the length?
33.
Now, I always say there's three things you have to do to be a great putter, right? You have to read the green, you have to start the ball on the line that you read, and then you got to hit the right speed. If you do that, it goes in every time. Where's your problem?
Probably speed.
Okay, so a lot of three putts from outside 10 feet? You're just not making it. So then why'd you say speed?
I think the speed with the lineup pick
Got it, it's not matching.
is not matching. Because I'm really good inside 5 feet. Like starting a ball on line, which inside 6 feet is all line, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you got the combination of both until 20, 25 feet, and then after that's just speed. So
Are you usually outside your target or are you under your target on breaks? Do you go under the hole or above the hole?
combination of both.
Yeah, both. Right to left versus left to right, any differences? Okay.
I even told my caddy to keep stats where I miss it high or low, left to right putts, down the putts, up the putts. It's all over the place.
Okay.
They're not like they're missing by much.
Yeah.
I hit a lot of edges of the hole, or they're very close to like the burning edges. It's not like I missed.
But you feel like you read it right, it's just the ball didn't roll at the right speed, so it didn't hold the line you were seeing.
Yeah, and I mean once in a while there's the occasional misread,
Of
especially on
course.
rainy greens or
Okay.
greens
Okay.
are like tough to see.
So, okay, this is a weird question. Last thing you think about before you putt?
I focus on the spot where I want the ball to end up if it were to run through the hole. Like so, if I have a right to left putt,
Trying to hit to that spot.
Hit the spot behind the hole after I completed the spring, because that has actually helped me to hit more of my speeds. Of like depending on what.
Is that line or is that speed?
For me, that's speed. Because
You sure?
Usually line, because inside 15 feet I use a line, or inside 20 feet. So my line is basically the end over end is for me a very big indicator whether or not I hit my starting line.
You know, we always say in putting, there's three things that matter. Read the green, start the ball on the line, and hit the speed that you read. Now, Thomas is saying, I'm struggling with hitting at the speed that I read. Now, if you think about it, if you think you're going to hit the ball really fast, you might not play a lot of break because the ball is going to be moving faster. But if you think that you're going to hit it softer, maybe it's going to break more, so you play more break. So if I say I'm going to hit it softer and I'm going to play more break, but now I hit it harder, well then that's not the right read. So read and speed are intimately related, and if one is off, it can affect both, and that's pretty frustrating.
Worked a lot on my holding speed, trying to find out which speed I actually hold more putts.
Yeah.
But like everybody's different. For me, that's like 2.5 feet by.
Yeah.
But obviously in the beginning, you kept ramming it by on the high side. So to find that sweet spot of my line and my speed, I've really spent a lot of time doing putting drills and like doing different drills, holding drills from 10 to 20 feet and speed drills, and really spend a lot of time on the greens, and I see improvements when I do my drills, but I feel like out on the course it's just stuck in this.
How do you practice your full swing, your superpower?
I just go for my basics, ball position, and just create feels. And
you've never tried that on putting?
I'll try.
You have?
Tried it. Yeah, I do my basics every day.
But then just try and feel it instead of having the line and all that kind of stuff. Or does that scare you?
No, that's what I used to do. I didn't say I used to putt better, but that's when I was younger. I would hardly read. I would literally just stand over it and hit it how I felt.
But you don't feel you were better before?
No, I wasn't better before.
Okay, so you're improving.
I would generally say I read the greens actually pretty good. Actually, I would almost say very good.
Okay.
Just for me, it's a lot of times it comes down to the speed. Like, well, we read it right, but oh yeah, this was only, you read it at 2 foot by pace. Oh, this was only going a foot by. That's why I just barely missed it.
You ever play basketball? Just
bit.
for fun? Okay, if you're making a free throw, what are you thinking about before you let go of the ball?
Where I want to hit it in a hoop, yeah, spot.
Is that speed and spot together for you?
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, so one of the most important questions I ask players about putting is, what's the last thing you think about before you putt? If I look at our best putters almost always describe the last thing they think about is speed control. That's a very important little aspect that I think when you're controlling speed, then you don't tend to hit it way past the hole or leave it short. At least you got a good chance of making the putt, at least not 3-putting. Now, Thomas said to me, the last thing I think about is where the ball should stop. I'm not really sure what that means, if that's speed that he's talking about, or if he's talking about alignment or picking a target, but we need to dig in a little deeper on this one. So
that's kind of like you slowly get to the point where I'm like, I'm putting and I have no idea what I'm doing.
So if I said you're going to do a free throw versus a 3-pointer, you're just going to say spot both times?
A 3-pointer, obviously speed.
Well, now, why'd you say that?
Gotta get it there first. I mean, I feel like it's the.
So you don't have to get it there for the free throw?
Yes, but I feel like that's at a different range to where it's a lot easier to get it. It's like a 6-foot putt for me. I don't worry about the speed because I know I'm gonna have enough speed for it to get there. Once it gets to a certain distance.
Is your speed on putting always short?
It used to be a lot shorter, like to where it would barely get to the hole, and there would be a lot of putts that look good, and they would just hit on stop on the front edge, or just barely slide by on the low side.
Have we checked your vision before?
Yeah, very right eye dominant.
Oh yeah, I see it. No way. So last time I tested you were Esophoria, which is objects appear closer with guys who hit it short. Left eye suppressed. I need to look at that again. That could be a big deal with you. So there's nothing more frustrating than feeling like you did everything perfect, everything you needed to do, and then the ball doesn't go in the hole, right? Now, there can be many reasons why this misconception happens, but one of the very common things is vision. Your eyes can fool you a lot. Sometimes we kind of see breaks differently than they really are, see distances really different than they are, and this has a lot to do with how our brain's interpreting how our eyes are bringing in that information. And I'll tell you, from a history standpoint, I told you I've seen Thomas a couple times before. We've had some vision issues with him in the past, so I'm curious to see if that's an issue now. You know, on ball striking, if you miss, is it thin or fat? Or you don't really have thin fat?
Both. I mean, I'm working on shallowing it out, so there's the occasional fat one.
Okay.
Okay. But generally, I would say it's groove low.
It's more thin.
Yeah.
So the ball might feel closer to you than it really is.
Yeah, which is interesting is my whenever I don't pay attention to my basics, I keep sliding closer to the ball and stand more upright.
When I look at you, both my eyes look at your head and they triangulate depth and space. There are three types of people. There are some people that the eyes work great. There are other people like you, your right eye is so dominant, your left eye kind of is lazy because your right eye is doing all the work. It's like, he's got it, I don't have to do anything. So a lot of times when the two eyes go to triangulate, it's like, because this guy's kind of lazy, the triangulation gets off in space. And some people are what are called esophoria, where objects appear closer than they really are, and some are exophoria, objects appear farther away. If you're esophoria, right, okay, when you set up, ball seems like it's closer to you, so you tend to hit groove low. I got to get closer to the ball. I tend to undershoot targets. My putts are a little shorter than I expected because I thought the hole was closer than it really was. These are very common things that can happen with these visual traits. That all sounds like you?
Yeah.
People don't realize how important this is. A couple years ago when I saw Thomas, I noticed that he had something called esophoria, which is where objects appear closer than they really are. And this is just your eyes fooling you, right? When your two eyes triangulate an object in space, they're making the determination on depth. And some of us can have faulty information here coming from the brain's interpretation of the vision or even from your eyesight. So Thomas had a little struggle where he kind of underread everything. So I'm thinking, if technique feels good, stroke feels good, he feels like he's doing it right, maybe we're still struggling with that.
Whenever I talk to someone, they're like, well, it looks really solid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'd rather you tell me it's bad, so I have something to work on it.
Like in general, on most of your putts, if the hole was an inch or two closer, would you make a lot of these?
I'll probably make more, yeah. I even got to the point where I would walk it off. Like I've debated with myself if I want to even maybe go the route of where I'm like, just, hey, the speed's this green, I know a 12-inch stroke goes this far.
Well, a lot of people with ESO and EXO have to do that.
That would completely eliminate that putt, but at the same time I would consider myself more of a field player.
Yeah. The problem is what your instincts is saying might be wrong. And so when you're feeling 10 yards, it's actually 10 and a half yards. And as you know, that's a big difference. Not a huge difference when you're hitting a 5-iron, but it's a big difference when you're chipping and putting. We'll test that again. If it shows up there again, then I have a lot of advice for you on this. So we always have this pull between, should I create more of a mechanical system or more of a field-based system? Now, a mechanical system would be, all right, I'm going to pace out how many paces to the hole or measure. And once I know it's 10 feet, then I'll go practice what it feels like to hit 10 feet. And then there's I look at it, I feel it, and I just try and feel the energy of how far it goes and use just my instinct more. That's more of a field player. And those are very different types of systems. Thomas is telling me he's more of a field player, but he's frustrated because it's not working, so he's thinking maybe I'll go to mechanical system. Before we shift and take you out of your comfort zone and go to mechanical, let's just make sure we can't improve your field system. In a weird way, this would be a great problem. That means there's no technique problem. It's just you think everything's closer. That's frustrating, but like I said, there's some really cool things we can do now to fix these things. Because that's not common. Most players don't test out like this. Why this is triggering this for me is esophoria expert eyes, when they triangulate objects, sometimes, hey, as long as the object's within X number of feet, I can triangulate, but it gets over there, I get problems. And you're like, hey, if it's under 10 feet, everything's good. Like, hey, my speed's not a problem when I'm over here, but when it gets over here, all of a sudden I lose it. Well, that might be where we lose your left eye. And you said you use the line from what distance?
15, 20 feet in. Like, once it gets to a certain break,
yeah,
I eliminate the line because now it's just all about speed. It's kind of deciding the break.
Yeah.
Like when you have big swingers, I just eliminate it altogether and just try to hit my speed. If you got a 15-foot putt that reads right edge,
yeah,
like you more likely than not hit your speed that it will go to the hole, and it's just about you finding the line.
So a lot of times players treat putts differently, whether they're a long putt or a short putt. Let's say you've got a 40-foot putt. You might be thinking, I just got to control the speed or the energy just to make sure I get to the hole. So I'm really just trying to control energy. And then when I get to a short putt, well, now it's like the expectation is I should make this. And a lot of times they change their focus and they start thinking about target. And this is the same whether you're playing basketball or golf. You need to focus on what works the best, right? So a lot of times players are like, hey, my long distance lagging putts are great, but my short ones aren't. I'm going to treat the short ones like the lagging putts and maybe learn from that. And if Thomas is telling me he thinks of energy from the long putts, but he doesn't think of energy or speed with the short putts, we might be onto something. Let's go I'm gonna go test your vision real quick, and we're gonna test one of those things. Let's just see if this is consistently showing up. All right, so we're gonna go into the vision testing now. Now, one of the things I hope we find is that it's obvious. It's not your fault, Thomas, it's your eyes and the way you're interpreting it, because sometimes once you get that excuse, well, now it gives you hope. You're like, hey, it wasn't me, it was my eyes, and if I can fix this, things get better. What do you see?
I see a pig and a dog.
Really? Just kidding. Okay, the black stripe on the dog, is it right over the middle of the pig?
Yes. No, a little bit to the left side.
Like towards the tail?
Yeah.
All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is something called the Keystone Skills Test. This is kind of like what you would do at the DMV if they're gonna check your eyes. Now what Thomas is gonna do is he's gonna look into this device, and we have these little cards. Each card is testing a different visual skill. The first couple cards here are testing something we call fusion, and that's the ability of your two eyes to work together as a team in tandem. Do you triangulate objects in space together, so equally from right to left and from up and down, right? And we can see if maybe one eye is being lazy or being suppressed and one eye is overworking, and that can distort your vision. That yellow line, what red shape is it going through?
Big circle.
Okay. What number does that arrow stop at?
8.
What do you see here?
3 dots, red, white, and blue.
Perfect. Okay. You know, the visual system is very dynamic. If consistently, every time everything is short, then we start to worry. Thomas tells me that the stripe on the dog is a little bit more towards the tail of the pig. That's a sign of Esophoria, where your eyes aren't coming together close enough. The yellow line should go right through the middle of the circle if your eyes are fusing together vertically, and Thomas did that perfect. He says, I see red, white, and blue. That's the right answer. Normally you'll see this arrow move, and based on how your eyes triangulate, the arrow will stop on a certain number. Now Thomas is telling me it's stopping at 8. 8 is a little bit shifted towards Esophoria. I'm doing a bunch of tests, and I'm looking to see, do I have consistency? Are all of them showing short, all of them showing long? If it's flipping, like, hey, sometimes the objects appear farther, sometimes it appears closer, that's just normal. That's your brain trying to triangulate objects in space. So first test doesn't show Esophoria. Now we're gonna go, okay, you got railroad tracks.
Yep.
Down the railroad tracks is a series of numbers. Underneath the numbers there's a black box with some white diamonds. Okay, so these next two cards, this is looking at usable vision and how good you can see your eyesight, right? And we're gonna test one eye at a time. It looks like you're looking down these railroad tracks, and we're seeing how good you can see down these railroad tracks. Thomas did really well in this test. There's a top white diamond, a bottom white diamond, a right white diamond, a left white diamond, and in one of those diamonds there's a black dot. And number 1, where's the black dot?
Top, middle.
Number 2.
Right.
3.
Left.
4.
Top.
5.
Bottom.
I'm gonna switch this here. Okay, start in 1.
Bottom.
Keep going.
Bottom.
Keep going.
Left.
Keep going.
Right.
This one easier?
Yeah.
Okay, that's your dominant eye. When we stand right here, facing me this way, you see the security camera up there?
Yep.
Okay, I want you to keep looking at that security camera. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna check for something called suppression. Now sometimes when your dominant eye is so dominant, your non-dominant eye basically goes to sleep and stops working. Now you need both eyes to work together to triangulate objects in space to have depth perception, and if one eye is suppressed, it can really affect things like hand-eye coordination and depth perception. So to test that, you just take your thumb and you hold it out in front of you and you try and cover an object from a far distance. I'm having him look at a security camera here. And when you keep both eyes open and you try and cover the security camera, what you'll see, if both eyes are working, you'll actually see your thumb distort into 2 thumbs, right? You'll see one on each side of the security camera. And then vice versa, if you stare at your thumb, now we're checking from near point vision, if you stare at your thumb, you should see 2 security cameras on either side of the thumb. That's normal. How many thumbs do you see?
2.
Look at your thumb. How many security cameras do you see?
2.
Very good. Just making sure there's nothing crazy. If for you at home are testing yourself on this and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, all I see is my thumb or all I see is 1 security camera, you have something called suppression, right? That means your dominant eye is so dominant that your non-dominant eye is sleeping, and this can create some serious visual distortions. Hold that against your nose. Just hold that right up against your nose. The string come out here. Grab that with your left hand. You're gonna take it, so against your nose, you're gonna slide that all the way out to your arm straight. All right, so the next test we're gonna do is called the Brock string test. So now we have a string with a bead on it. He holds it up against his nose. When you look at a bead in front of you, you should see not one string going to the bead, you should see two strings. Your right eye sees a string going from the left side. Your left eye sees a string going from the right side, and these two strings will intersect on the bead if you're fusing properly. How many white strings are going to the purple bead?
2.
Where do they cross? They cross at the bead, before the bead? Or?
At the bead.
Okay. Where do they cross?
Before the bead.
Where before the bead?
Right there.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. Set up like you're gonna hit a putt? Or set up like you're gonna hit a, sorry, like, let's do a driver. Where's the ball? Here?
For both, I would say.
Like here?
No, not that much.
Is it closer to you or farther away?
A little bit closer and a little bit more towards the center.
Right here?
Yeah, there.
So it's about that same distance. Now, what's interesting with Thomas, as the bead gets farther away from him, he sees two strings, but they're converging before the bead. That means potentially he's triangulating objects closer than they really are, which leads back to the esophoria that we've seen with him in the past. Okay, and from that distance, holding that up there, it's converging before the bead?
Yeah.
Okay, let me steal this real quick. Now, two of my favorite tests here is called the numerical and the perceived depth test. The first one here, the numerical depth test, I'm just gonna throw a ball out and I'm gonna say, all right, tell me, how many feet and inches is that from you right now? Feet and inches, how far is that? And this is something that we do all the time in golf, predicting how far this putt is or how far that chip is, and we're trying to predict that distance to try and engage how much speed. You're way off.
How far was
It's 17 feet on the button. It's like, Thomas was right on. I mean, and you can see, it's almost like doing paces in his head. You can see him almost pacing it off and did a great job. When you're ready, you're gonna hold the ball on here with your right hand. Okay, when you're ready, you're gonna close your eyes and you're gonna walk out. And when you think you're over that, let go and try and hit the ball. Now if I go to, all right, let's close your eyes. And let's just see if you can perceive how far that is in your mind. And walk out till you're at that ball and then drop the ball. Eyes open till you're ready, then close your eyes. Okay. Well, now he drops it short again. There's another sign for esophoria. Again, it's not consistent. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not, but more than not, it tends to show up esophoria, but since it's not all the way consistent, I can't really accuse him of being esophoria yet. So I normally test 4 tests to see if you're esophoria or object pair closer, and you usually have to fail all 4 for me to say, because the visual system is very dynamic. You failed 2 of them esophoria, but you passed 2 of them. So you're that, you know, we would tell people, well, we got to monitor this guy because it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't perfect either. You know what I mean? Like the string is converging before the ball, like you think the ball's closer. You dropped it slightly, you know, and like I said, if the hole was that much closer, would you make more? You know what I mean? Like there's ones, but then when I asked you what the distance was, you knew the distance. When I took your eye like this, the camera didn't move at all, right? A lot of times it'll move when one eye is dominating over there. So I was hoping it'd all be one way, but you're like the maybe. The vision test there too, like the dog didn't line up perfectly over the pig either, and you said 8.5 is usually on the arrow, so there was a couple little signs there too, but when I did this with the Brock string, you almost closed your non-dominant eye. We might experiment with some things on the putting green there, but like I said, this is not like a slam dunk, oh, this is definitely this, but you have signs of it. Let's go to putting green. We're gonna go putting green first. Okay, so this wasn't really a slam dunk of, hey, I know who the murderer is. I've been the detective and I found out who the problem was. There's signs. There's signs that there's something going on here with the vision, but some of the vision tests were really good. So I think it's time to go watch him putt. I think there's more to this than we can see right now.
All right, we can go.
Yeah, we're done. Problem solved. Okay, so like I said, there's no weird pass stuff. Everything's good. God, it just so seems like vision to me. So let's go longer putts. Okay, so my first observation, the putter looks like it's moving beautifully on plane. What we're looking for is any type of weird path, like if the putter's doing a weird out to in circle or in to out circle, things that would make it difficult to start the ball in line or put some spin on the golf ball. But Thomas's putter looks great. It actually looks like it's soling properly. It's remaining square to the line that he's trying to hit it on. There's no weird loops in the path, making me once again think that, hey, he's got a good stroke. It's got to be something else. You pretty confident it's not technique?
I'm pretty confident.
Yeah,
if my putting technique was bad, I would be really struggling from inside
everywhere,
60.
from all distances. Yeah, okay.
Even with my caddy, we walked through this whole thing where we said,
Yeah.
maybe you should just be more aggressive and take some on the breakout because we're not worried about the 3-footer coming back.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we've seen some more success, but then we've also gone through phases where we made absolutely nothing, and that's
Okay. I think we need to treat you like your Esophoria and see if it makes a difference. So when I say I'm going to treat him like Esophoria, what that means is I think he's seeing objects closer than they really are. So he says it's a 10-foot putt, but it's really a 12-foot putt. And now what I need to figure out is how that's really affecting him. And when he reads the putt, how does it turn into a misread or to a misspeed? And once we can solve that problem, I think we can help him. Okay, let's go this one over here. Let's go to that there. Now you haven't noticed uphill's worse than downhill.
tend to be short on uphills.
That's what I just saw right here. So that
Downhills, maybe most putts I make are downhills.
man, you're just screaming Esophoria. God, it's screaming Esophoria. So anytime you feel like an object's closer than it really is, you tend to leave it short, energy short. So if you're going uphill where it requires more speed, more energy, it makes the problem worse, right? If you don't hit it hard enough, it's gonna be really short. Now, vice versa, if you're going downhill, the hill helps you. The hill usually makes the ball go farther than you want. So for people with Esophoria, they love downhill putts. Did you feel like you had to kill that to get there, like you tried to go extra?
Yeah, I definitely did go extra after learning from the first one.
Let's go to that one there. Okay, so give me full read. I want to see your full process. So this is tournament. One of the most important things to see is what his process is and how he reads the green. It's really important because it gives me an idea of the information that's going into his brain. And you're going to see all different types of putting processes when you watch players read the green. Sometimes they go from the high side, sometimes they go from the low side, sometimes they look from behind the hole, sometimes they look from behind the ball, sometimes they don't do any of these things. Sometimes they use a line, sometimes they don't use a line. These are all important things for us helping to make the diagnosis. Always take the pin out? Okay.
I can see
Yep.
anything if the pin's in the way.
Okay. Is that the line, or is that you use, or you have a line, or this
I
is
got
just use a
line
dot?
on it.
You
I
just use the dot from this distance.
I actually
So-
just line it up with that dimple.
So when you're shorter, you use that purple
Yeah.
line, and when you're far, you use the Titleist logo with the dot. Okay.
Which I don't know, for me was interesting because I saw my line generally roll straighter without changing anything else.
Yeah.
But whether or not that has anything to do with it.
Okay. So what was the last thing you thought about before you putted there?
A spot behind the hole that I want to put it to.
It's not energy. You don't think energy.
I mean, in my practice strokes, I get the feel of how long I want my stroke to be to get there. So I've gone through a phase where I was like short on a backswing and jabbing at it, to where I feel like I'm more, in a sense, like loading my spring a bit more and then just letting it go and let the weight of the putter do it.
If I said, take your ball, you see this here, right hand from here, right hand, try and land it on the hole.
Land it on the hole.
So what are you thinking about right now? Spot or energy?
I still think about the spot.
Do you?
Yeah. I kind of let my body decide on.
So you feel like the energy is
I-
kind of natural? It's kind of like
it's
instinct?
just kind of instinct. Like if I were to toss this, I'm not thinking about how much percentage of strength I have to use to throw there.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking right now. Thomas keeps saying, I look at a spot past the hole. And he's saying, I try and putt to that spot. What I'm trying to figure out is he trying to align to a target and just try and start the ball to the spot that's behind the hole? Or is he actually trying to feel how hard do you have to hit to get the ball to roll past the hole, right? Because those are two totally different things. One is controlling the aim that you're pointing at, and one is controlling speed. And I really want to make sure he's doing speed, because I can't tell which one he's doing here.
Throwing you for a loop.
No, I ask all players this. And here at TPI, what I love to do is I love to take all of our great drivers and I put them in a bucket. And I take, like if you look at TrackMan says, okay, average attack angle for drivers, -1. If you take the best drivers, it's +3, right? So like, I don't like taking everybody and looking at averages. I go, all right, who's the best putters and what do they do differently? And one of the things that we've noticed with the best putters, if we ask best putters, like, what do you think about last thing before you putt? They all say it differently, but it's all energy. It's, you know, like I already got my line, I trust my read. Now it's just like, how much energy do I need to be able to get there, right? You're not saying that. You're saying something, you're like, I control that naturally. And I'm like, are you sure? Because when you say spot, that's usually lines. That's usually like aiming at that line right there. And if you're trying to aim at a line, usually we have energy, speed problems. But speed problems usually end up with like I can't believe I just hit that putt and it turns into 3 putts. But your speed is pretty good. You're just off by a little bit. But I'm debating on whether you should try and think of energy or not. Or do you think that would just, have you ever tried that?
When we worked on like break putts from like 10, 15 feet.
Yeah.
Where we were just thinking about the spot that we want to putt it to.
Yeah.
Not necessarily line, just we've decided on a line. This is the spot where we want the ball to end up.
Yep. How much energy does it take to get to that spot?
Yeah.
Is that what you kind of think of, or you're just trying to, like, this is one where you're struggling, right? Like this yardage here? Okay, so let's do one here. So
where like once I've decided on my line, or actually once I've decided on my speed, let's say, I figured out that if I hit it this far by, I tend to hold more putts.
Yeah.
And then based on that speed, I read my line, and then I think about I wanted to stop the ball right here. I mean, in a sense, you could maybe say that's energy. I'm not thinking about my starting point, like a point in front of the ball where I wanted to roll over. I'm thinking about this is the where I
How did you come up?
stop.
How did you come up with the 2.5? You said 2.5 feet past.
Because whenever my ball goes this far by,
You're short.
that in a sense it feels short because I see a lot of putts
So what if?
missing low.
So what if I said 3.5 feet instead of 2.5 feet?
Could be fine too.
You think it'd be better?
I don't know.
Would you your uphill putts? Would you do more energy if it was that?
Yeah, probably. I would just, I mean, in a sense, feel like I want to hit it harder or get more behind it.
You think that distance might be different for uphill than downhill?
Yeah.
You ever mess with that?
Yeah. I think if I say I want to hit it 3 feet by on a flat putt, on a downhill putt, depending on speed, that might be 4.5 feet. On an uphill putt, that might be 1.5 feet.
So on a downhill putt, do you try and go a foot past? On an uphill putt, you try and go 4 feet past. On flat, you go 2.5. Have you ever tried that?
Probably on the downhills, not on the uphills. Because the majority of the downhillers, especially when the greens are a certain speed, you feel like you just want to like barely get it there.
Okay, let's read this putt and pick your spot that you would feel like you're going to finish the ball to, right? Tell me exactly where it is. We're going to put that ball there. Here's the ball. You can put it where you think that spot is.
I would say that spot is right here.
Okay, so if I said make it a foot longer, where would the spot be?
Probably more here.
Okay, tell me does that look weird? Let's try and do that one. What you think about before you putt is really important. And what I mean by that is you might say, okay, I'm looking at the break and I'm looking for the high point of the break. So I want to try and putt to that high point with the right speed and let it die into the hole. That's one way that you can putt. But if you're esophoria, in other words, if objects appear closer than they really are, a lot of times you'll leave it short. So what I like to do is make you think, either think that the hole is farther away from you or look at a spot past the hole, right? Instead of a spot in front of the hole, because that'll make sure you get to the hole. Now the good news is Thomas is already doing this. So I think instinctively he already knows that this helps him to think past the hole. So he's picking a spot past the hole to keep the energy going. But all I'm going to do is just add the piece of saying, okay, you see where the hole is? Imagine the hole's a little bit farther away and do the same thing, and let's see if it makes a difference. So that's more energy, right?
Yeah.
Did that make you think the break was more, or you just misread that?
Well, I misread that. I thought it was breaking more early.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like when I do this too.
Yeah.
Even when I practice, I see a lot more that when that ball is missing the hole,
Yeah.
that I'm very close to where I want it to end up.
Yeah.
It's just the hole doesn't get in the way.
But it's consistently short on the uphill ones.
Majority of the times, yeah. Unless I left a couple times short, and you just next time you're like making sure you don't hit it short. You get it.
So the simple tricks that have helped people with esophoria, I'm just going to give you those, you can mess with it. Number one, you just saw, if you have a spot after, add a foot. Or it's like, hey, more energy than you think. Hey, I think this is 10 feet, make it 10 and a half and give it energy, or try and hit the back of the hole over there, right? The next one would be, just imagine, you know, every distance is a little different, but I would say almost a cup. Imagine the cup's 1 cup behind and play to that. And just see when just hopefully the real cup gets in the way type of thing. It's almost the same. Is that the same?
Yeah, kind of in a sense.
Which one of those would you like better?
I was just thinking more energy.
Okay, just
Get
the spots farther away.
Just move the spot further back.
Okay, so so it really, if I said, if your spot was, I want to finish the ball here, you would aim to that line, but you instinctively would just hit it softer. And if I put it over here, you'd aim to the line, you just instinctively hit it harder. So you don't even have to think of speed, you just do it automatically. I think we should experiment with that. Let's go to that one there. Like, this is the ones we need to make, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the longest putt I've made all year on tour is 21 feet.
Okay. So on this one here, you would normally be looking like right where Herman's foot is, like there?
Probably right there.
Okay, so let's
Based on that would be, since it's still going up, that would be on a flat putt 3 foot by.
Okay, so whatever you would normally do, add a foot.
Okay.
Okay? Let's go, never the same putt. Let's go over here. Add a foot again. Feel like you're doing that? Like, is that hard to do? Or do you feel like?
It just feels like in my head almost like be more aggressive with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it is, right?
It's kind of what we've slowly been working to, and it feels like I do make a little bit more putts, but it's still, like, it's lacking behind. Like, my make percentage is not where it needs to be. It's like way below average.
All right, so I think it's important to talk about expectations with putting. If I look at the best players in the world and how many putts they make inside of 10 feet, number one in the world is around 90%, average being around 88% of the time they make those putts. Now that's a lot, right? So most of the pros are really good at making these putts. If I look at over 20 feet, well, now that number goes down to 15%. But if you think about making the putt 15% of the time, that's still a lot. These are important. I can't give away those 15% of the putts if I'm struggling. So this is an important scoring opportunity that they're going to treat just like any other type of birdie opportunity, something that they can make. Well, listen, first of all, dude, the putting looks amazing right now. So that's what's frustrating about, I understand the frustrating part here. I think the foot might have been too much. I think if we just move the cup back 1 cup. Because it's
like part of the thing where I started walking a lot of putts off to
yeah.
not rely on my side.
And I get it. If it's really bad esophoria, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? Because then I can't trust you. You got to go like, oh no, I know it's 10. Go back to your read again. Let's do the read again just to make sure. So walk me through how you do your read. Because I've watched you misread 3. You agree?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go. Walk me through your read.
I'd say from this side, I would mostly look at the first third, maybe first half of the putt.
Yep.
Because that's the closest to me.
Yep.
It's like the easiest to identify.
Yep.
And then I'll go on the other side, I'll do the second half.
So did these match?
Yeah. I just did not see that middle part here.
Okay.
Kicked it a lot further left than I thought, because I thought with the speed that it had, it was going to
Yep.
hold this line better.
things on putts that break this much. I feel like if you're slightly low, it just really
Yeah.
feels like a bigger misread than if you're slightly high.
Okay, so I've noticed for the last couple putts here, Thomas has misread this. And like we said earlier, read and speed are so intimately related that I want to make sure that this isn't a green reading problem. So I kind of noticed when he was reading before that it looked like he put a lot of focus behind the ball. And sometimes when you do that, you don't put your focus on the second half of the putt where the ball is breaking the most because the ball is going slower. So I'm going to have him read halfway. So imagine the putt's half the distance, really get him to focus on the second half of the putt, which influences the putt the most, and see if it changes his read. So you're not one of those guys, you never do a mid check. Like stand here midway. Because this is really like if you stand here and read this, now you see it, right?
Yeah.
See how much more that looks like it breaks there? Can you feel it with your feet too? Yeah. Like it's way higher. Like if I feel this here, and I come here, I mean, this is dramatic. This is a dramatic. I like this putt. I haven't been on this putt before, but put your feet by the ball, and then put your feet by the middle, and put your feet by the cup. Feel how much more dramatic that slope is there, and then it dies off there.
Yeah.
Okay. Almost feel like you took it outside the break there. This is a really hard putt.
I mean, we do have putts like
No, I know you do. Oh, I know you do. Yeah.
Like little hills, grain changes where it's like you're a bit too far outside on the right, it doesn't break.
Right.
You're touchless.
Were you trying to go hole past?
I was going a cup past anyway. But
So let me ask: is this flat, downhill, uphill?
a touch uphill, then downhill past the hole.
Yeah. So I think it's got a little bit of both here. If it's downhill, I don't think you need to take the cup, project the cup. That's why you like downhill better, right? The uphill one, I think you need to project the cup. The flat one, to be determined. That's what I was going to mess with. Kind of like to do one more uphill one. Let's do from here. Let's project the cup one cup past, and let's do a mid-break read. The only thing you're going to add, okay?
Would you say mid-break last?
I think so. So what I like is you said you took the first half, right? And then you got the read from behind the ball. You got the second half from behind the cup. And which one influences the break more?
The second half.
By far. Why?
But ball slows down.
100%. So the first half only matters if you hit it soft enough for it to even influence. If you hit it hard, the first half's not going to matter. I think the second half gives you, when you get to the midpoint, it's almost like you're reading the biggest break from behind and in front. Does that make sense? So it gives you almost two views of it. So a really common mistake with green reading is overvaluing the read from behind the ball. Now let me explain. Let's say you have a double break. Okay, let's say you have a big right to left break from when the ball starts, and then it starts to shift towards the hole to a left to right. Let's say they have the equal slope. The question would be is, would the right to left and the left to right equally contribute to the amount of movement of the golf ball? Well, if you actually really think about this, the first part of the putt, the ball's traveling faster. So if the ball's traveling faster, it actually won't break as much. When the ball starts to slow down, it starts to break more. So believe it or not, the second half of the putt is going to influence the break more than the first half of the putt. Which is why, if you look at some of the best putters in the world, they spend more time looking at the second half of the putt because it influences the break more than the first half of the putt. So if you use your feel with your feet when you're over the ball, you're really looking at what's happening to the first half of the putt, and sometimes it doesn't matter nearly as much as what's happening around the hole. It's almost a confirmation. So we're projecting this one cup pass, right? So that had to be read, not speed, right?
Yeah.
Because it was under. So let's go from here to there. So you're gonna leave the ball there. You're gonna go through your whole read. You're picking a spot, right? Wherever you're lining up to, when you're done, I want you to go, I'm gonna roll the ball. I'm gonna start the ball here. Or do you start the ball there or roll the ball? Like what do? You pick a spot that the ball's supposed to roll over or a spot that you start? So I want you to show me where your start point is. You're going to touch here. I'm going to be recording the whole thing. And then you go back and make the putt. And I'm going to see how close you were to the point you picked. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I'm going to really test to see how well he starts the ball in line. Now, I was taught this by one of the best putters of all time, Ben Crane, who led PGA Tour in putting for several years. All I'm going to do is I'm going to start a camera from behind him. I'm going to ask him to read the green. I'm going to have him go up to the spot where he's trying to hit, put his putter on that spot, come back, and he's going to putt. Okay. And then I'm gonna go back and play the video and I'm gonna see where the spot was. I'll put a little line on the video and see if he actually starts it in that direction, right? This is just video proof. You could do this at home on your own putting to see if you're good at starting the ball in line. No, that's starting at your spot. You're not reading it right.
To me, it felt like it broke a lot more early, where I thought it's doing a little bit.
Well, let me just put it this way. The most common thing, forget the whole vision thing, the most common thing for a robot who's a really good putter is green reading problems. You sure we're not having green reading problems?
No, that opinion might change.
Okay, so now I've confirmed that he actually is starting the ball on the line that he read, but I'm also confirming that I think he's getting a wrong read, right? So I really want to start diving into this green reading process because potentially that's interfering with his whole visual system and making this struggle with these long putts. Okay, the way you walk around, is there a consistent way you go high point, low point, or you just go behind, then you go lower, high?
From the side.
Do you ever pick high versus low or anything like that?
I do it more when it's like Bermuda greens, the greens more involved.
So I'm just going to give you what, like I said, a lot of great putters do, right? They don't start behind the ball, okay? Some do, but I'm saying a lot of them, what they'll do is they'll go, all right, second half of the putt is the most important. That's what's going to break the most. And I think it's because of the color of the grass and the way it goes when the water runs this way. They always read from low point, right? So I look at this, where's the low point, right or left?
Right.
So they're going to come over here and they're going to go, this is where their read starts. Like, read it from here and then read it from there and tell me just from right here. Let's say this is the only place you can read it from. How many cups out do you think it is?
It's like cup.
Now read it from that side. Just stand over there and look back. Same or different?
From here, I would say more.
It's different. I just want you to understand it's different. All right, something you can test on your own at home is take a big break from right to left. Go to the high point, go to wherever the highest part of that break is, and just turn and try and read the break from that point. And then flip it over, go to the low point and just read it from the low point. And you will see pretty quickly that they look very different, right? Very different. Typically, you'll see more of the movement from the low point, right? So think about like, where would the water run on this break? And stand over where the water would pull and look at the break. Usually you won't underread that. It'll actually overread if anything. Where you're on the high point, a lot of times it tends to underread the break. Where's the low point? Left or right?
Left.
Read it from here and then read it from up there. Get a little closer, get closer to the line, yep. What do you got? How much break?
Cup right to left.
Okay, go from the highest side and stay close.
I would say it's straighter.
It's flatter by your feet now.
Flatter.
So there was more slope on this side. It's opposite of what we just did over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one would read less break, and this one reads more break,
Yeah.
right? Which one's right?
Probably that one.
If I take that bucket of the best putter guys, and I say, how many of you read from the low to the high? There's way more in the good bucket that do low than high. Just an observation. Let's try this one where you read from low, then start from behind the hole, get your entire read, know exactly where you are, and then when you go over there, see if the read from over there will make you change your mind. Okay, so here's where we're at. He can start the ball on line, right? So I love the fact that the stroke looks good, he can start it on line. His speed actually isn't bad, especially on the downhill putts, it's great. Uphill maybe a little weak, but I'm starting to think that's not the major problem here. I think what I'm seeing here is a green reading problem, right? And I think that's why it was influencing more towards vision, because vision's related to green reading. And I think if we really start to change the way that he gets information into his brain, it's gonna make a big difference.
I'd almost say this is a higher point.
I would agree, you're on the wrong side. What's your brain thinking right now? Does it change it or you like what you had?
I almost see the touch more from here.
Okay, so you see a little more break.
Yeah.
Okay, because you think the first half's influencing a little more.
Yeah, I would say off the putter. It's just...
Okay, so now the question is, how hard are you gonna hit this? Because if you hit it hard, the first part's not gonna matter.
2.5, 3 feet wide.
So it'll have some pace coming off, right? Then will the first part influence this or no? You understand what I mean? Like if you hit it hard, it's not gonna break. Right, if you hit it soft, the first part's gonna make it break. The question is, are you hitting it soft enough where the first part's gonna make it move?
Probably not.
Then don't put it in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But that's, I think, one of the things like that you identify, right? It's like what I struggle with is, but I would say the faster the greens get,
Yep.
the more this will play a role versus.
Because you're going to hit it slower.
Yeah, because you're hitting it slower.
You're putting it in play. Notice it didn't help it at all, did it? If you would have gone with your instinct from behind, would you have done less break or more break?
More break.
Right, so it would have been worse.
Yeah.
Behind the hole tends to fool people,
Yeah.
especially on over 10 feet, because it really doesn't influence the putt if you're going pace. You know what I mean? Okay, let's do this one. You can't use behind the ball.
Can use behind the hole.
You can just look hard to see where the low point is, and then don't read it from behind the ball. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, okay, you're not allowed to get the information from behind the ball because that's what you've used in the past to judge not only the break but the speed. Instead, we're going to switch it from behind the hole because like I said before, behind the hole gives you a much better visualization of the second half of the putt. And this is where the ball is breaking the most, right? There's nothing more frustrating than you make this perfect putt and at the last minute it misses because you didn't read where it's breaking the most. So I'm going to see how Thomas does if we say, let's just eliminate the first half of the putt. Just go to the second half of the putt and tell me, what do you think it's going to do? And now go and try and make the putt with that information only. This is going to scare the shit out of you, but let's see if you can do it. Let's just go with what you think. Don't go behind the ball. Yep.
See, but I'll take my putting strokes behind it.
Oh, you can do that. You can do that.
But
you're not reading.
instantly will.
You're going to see we'll read over there?
I will.
So wait, how do you do your putting stroke
I'll
here?
do my putting strokes behind.
Just for speed?
Yeah, just for speed.
From here?
Then I step in.
But you're still reading when you're doing that?
In a sense, I'm looking at the hole, so I'm still kind of.
For energy or for read? You think it'll come in?
It will come in.
Okay.
And knowing myself, I know it will come in. I used to take putting strokes here,
Yeah.
which I felt like was really bad for me.
Why?
Because I was
So now I don't, now I don't trust you, so I'm asking these questions now. So why did this not help you?
Because I felt I was so, like, when I was doing putting strokes here,
Yeah.
I was so in this putting stroke mode, I completely forgot about, like, what I was doing there. I felt like when I take my putting stroke, my practice strokes here, and then I walk in, as I walk in, I focus on my point, focus where I want to put it.
So when you did your practice stroke over there, what were you thinking about?
I was thinking about the pace that I want to hit it.
You were thinking of speed.
Yeah, I was just thinking of, but I was only thinking of speed here. Like I completely, almost in a sense, disregard about the putt. I'm just focusing on speed, and then I go in, and then I'm trying to find my point where I find myself doing a lot of like.
Okay, let's try this.
Adjusting.
Total, just different. You're willing to try something different, right? Okay, so start the low point, go from behind the hole, do the same thing you just did. When you come over here, you're going to stay over here. You're going to do your practice stroke, not looking at the ball, just here, and then step in.
Okay.
Okay?
So like away from the ball.
Doesn't matter. You can stay close. You're just not allowed to look at the ball.
Okay.
Was that hard to keep your focus on where you're aiming? That was a good putt. Let's try that again. I actually kind of think I like that. Let's go from over here. Bring the ball over here. I don't want to give you a similar read. Let's do that same routine. Listen, reading and speed, like you said, are so related.
Yeah.
So we're kind of still working on the same thing.
Exactly the thing I struggle with.
Yeah.
I'm outside 30 feet.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, let's just put it this way. You're really not showing signs of speed problems. Like you're not hitting it way past over there, but you're definitely showing signs of read problems. That's why I love this green. It'll highlight a green reading weakness really quick. It's hard. It wanted to come back, didn't it?
yeah, stay straighter.
Yeah.
I pushed
So
it a little
you
bit
did
up.
everything great there. You missed the mid read.
Yeah.
I need the mid read.
Okay.
Do you understand? Let's go from over here. Because I think you might have saw that on the mid read. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, give me feedback.
Well, I had the putt that I wanted to.
So that's misread.
Yeah. It looked straighter in the end to me. It felt more like the fall straight line was more going straight behind the hole.
Okay, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do, it said mid-read putt. We're gonna do halfway between the second half putt.
Okay.
Well, let's do an uphill one. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to watch my player putt, and then I do what I call fine tuning. Now I'm looking to see, is there any area where we can even fine tune the read or the feel? And what I'm starting to see with Thomas is that everything looks great, but I think he's not reading just the last part of the putt and how it enters the hole ideally. But remember, he's so used to reading from behind the ball, right? And this is new to read so much from behind the hole. So what I'll do is I'll give him behind the ball too, but I'm gonna put the ball halfway on the second half of the putt. So make it so he's literally focusing what happens to the ball as it starts to enter the hole, from both behind the hole and from behind the ball. Once he's got that confirmation in his brain, we'll go back and make the putt. I think we're close. I think this is really gonna help. I know it's weird, but I think this is really gonna help.
At this point, whatever gets the ball in the hole.
Low point first, behind the hole, then we're gonna do the midpoint of the second half. Practice strokes behind and then go for it. And if you're not sure, you can step on both sides and you'll figure out which one's lower.
I'd almost say they're identical.
That's why I was gonna say, step on both sides. Because usually if you look from both sides, you can figure out which one's the low point. And then go right over to the other side.
It was right up a little spine. That side's lower and this side's lower, to me.
Okay, all right, then it won't matter. Then the read should be the same from both sides. I'm telling you right now, this is all about the second half of the putt here. You gotta get this right. That's a good putt. Yep, I can tell right when you hit it, that was a good line. Let's do another one. So when it comes to green reading, there's many ways to do this and there's no right way, right? Some players are very visually dominant. They even look at like the shadows on the grass to see which way the grain might be rolling. And then there's players that are more field-based. You can actually close your eyes and feel the slope of the green with your feet, right? So I think it really depends on the player on what gives you the most sensory information back to your brain that gives you the appropriate read. See another ball. A ball. Yeah, thanks. Old habits. That's right.
Hard to break.
Another good putt. So watch this. Read it from over here.
I'd almost say I'm guaranteed to miss this high.
Do you see what I'm talking about? Like when over here, like it looks like it's crazy, right? But you didn't get that crazy read in your head. You just had this over here, you know what I mean? Because the problem is where you're standing over here, it's on the side of a cliff. But the putt's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's the mistake people make is they're feeling this over here, but how much does that influence this putt? Zero, right? So like if over here you're feeling all the things that influence the putt. Over there, I mean, this is a perfect one. I mean, look what you're standing on. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You start to feel like this part influences it a lot more, so it keeps creeping more and more outside.
That's what it's feeling like to me right now. I see people doing that. Like I see people doing this right here, and I'm like, you're reading this. What the hell does this have to do with the break? That makes zero sense. You're showing me the slope on a part of the green that's not even in your putt, and I'm like, I don't understand how that helps me do anything.
Because I feel like if I would be standing here, I would say I want to play.
You gotta start way out.
Way outside
Way out.
of this mark here.
That's why I stood over here. I'm like, is he doing it? I'm like, he's not. I'm like, good, because I'm pretty sure you would have been out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like if I were to just hit this putt the way I'm feeling.
Yeah. If I were to summarize what I think is happening here with Thomas is, number one, I thought we had a visual problem. And I'm not saying he doesn't have one, but I don't think that's the main issue here. I think green reading is the big problem here. And I don't think it's so much that he doesn't know how to read the green, is I think he's giving too much credit to the first half of the putt. In other words, it seemed to me like a lot of his focus, his feel, his touch was about how this break is going to start, and then he's assuming the second half is equal importance, or maybe not even as much importance. And if you spend all your time focusing on the first half of the putt, of course that's going to influence your decision making more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift his attention to the part that I think he should be giving more credit to. That's the second half of the putt, and getting an idea of how it's going to enter, and we're going to see how that works. After all the testing, I started with thinking Esophoria. You didn't test really bad Esophoria. There's some tendencies there. So on your uphill ones, you might want to experiment with moving the hole a little bit past over there. But I have a feeling you've been reading from behind the ball more, and that's been influencing you more. So I think you are good at reading. I just think you're reading part of the green that doesn't matter. Okay. And let's just take that out. Let's do this a couple times. There's some hard putts on this green. Listen, right now you're. So read from over here. Do the routine. Do it over here, because you'll see it from here too. I'm going to give you a big opportunity to feel it from over here in a second too. When you do those strokes where you're looking at the hole, you're going to be feeling that.
Yeah. It was like this putt, if I were to walk in from the side,
yeah,
I'd probably spend more time here.
Yeah.
Because the putt generally is so slow that this will have a big influence on.
And that's going to be a big deal. So let's read the middle of the second half. Okay, now you're going to go next to the hole here, and you're looking, now you're reading. If you're going, wow, this first half's going to do a lot, you can adjust from here. So when you stood over there, did you think, man, my read's off?
I'd say I thought my read was way low.
And did you adjust from your feet? Okay, so you adjusted a little bit.
It was
It's still not enough. Okay, so
I thought this is one, the higher you play, the more it breaks. You know, sometimes you
100%,
have those where you play
100%.
more break and
Yep.
the more it breaks where it's like.
So we have an option here. On downhill, obviously you're going to hit it slower, right? So the first half influences more. On downhill, we can say last part of the read is behind the ball, but on uphill, I don't think you should ever do it.
Okay.
That might make sense if you don't feel like you can adjust enough from next to it. Like if this little right here, feel like, oh yeah, no, this is going to influence it more, like because you're getting a feel of this first part. Do you feel like you need that?
I'd say on the downhillers, I would probably pay a bit more attention.
All right, so now that I got a good idea of how I want him to attack general putts, there's always exceptions to the rule. One of the exceptions would be an extreme downhill putt. On a downhill putt, you know the ball is going to go fast, so what do? You hit it softer, right? So you actually hit the ball with less speed. Well, if you start the ball with less speed, the first half of the putt is actually going to influence the break, maybe just as much as the second half of the putt. So it's something I want to just point his attention to, make sure that we're not ignoring the first half of the putt when it matters. Is that misread again?
Both. Started further right than I want to, and I misread.
Let me start on the line that you wanted. Just want to make sure it's a misread too. Okay, so it's probably just a smidge too far, too much. Yeah. And where do you feel like you misread that?
Here.
You still feel it's the first half.
Yeah.
You're missing it.
To me, that felt it was a lot straighter. Because once I thought the start of the break was right around here. That's what I read. Like I would start breaking left here. That's what I read.
Yep. But yeah, it's really not a lot. But
I would say the break from here, if I were to hit this as a 5-footer, is the same as the break from back there. Like the total amount of break.
Come over here. Read from over here. I'm debating on these downhill ones for you. Does that change anything?
Not really, except that I see more of that in the
Yeah.
early stages.
Which would be less break, right?
Because when you go on the other side, it looks pretty straight.
Let's do an uphill one again over here. Sorry to keep doing this to you. Let's go. I think we're right. I just want to make sure we're right. I don't think you change a damn thing on uphill. I think the downhill putts, let me find one that would be.
From here?
Yeah, you're trying to find the same thing.
If I only read the back
Yes.
part, I'm gonna miss it high.
Yep, let's do it. Here's what you're gonna do. Same read. When you stand here, if you go, dude, I think my feet are crazy, then you get the read back there.
Okay.
Okay? On uphill, you're not allowed to do that. Why am I saying that, by the way?
Because it doesn't matter.
You're gonna hit it harder on uphill in general, yeah. So I always do the same routine unless your feet over the balls, when you're doing your looking at the whole practice stroke says, hey, I should take another read. But the good news is this routine tells you exactly what it's going to do when it gets near the hole. So at least you know that, right? Now you do your practice stroke. And your brain's going, there's way more there, right? Yeah, so you're going to go look. That was beautiful, by the way. Great putt. That was a great putt. So here's the rule we're making, right? So he likes to feel over the ball versus over the hole. But we just talked about how important the second half of the putt is. But on a downhill putt, because the first half of the putt will influence it, if he stands over, after he's done his read properly, stands over with his feet and he goes, I don't trust the read I just did. I feel like the first half is going to influence it. Well, listen to yourself because you're probably right, it will. But you're just not going to do that on uphill putts or putts where you're going to do a lot of speed because now your brain's fooling you. So I just want to make sure he's got that crystal clear in his head. I think the mistake here is you've got too much relying on what's happening behind the ball. Okay. Would you agree with that, like in general?
I would agree with that. I mean, it would make sense why downhill putts are putt better than uphill putts.
And left and right, you haven't noticed any difference. It's the same thing. Okay, I think I'm good with it. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Let's try that. Let's experiment and you let me know. Yeah. All right, so we had a great day here with Thomas. Love to see where he's progressing. The main story we saw here on putting was green reading. Maybe putting too much focus on the first half of the putt. We're gonna try and shift that attention to the second half of the putt. I think another key to today's session is sometimes it's so obvious what the problem is. It's the silver bullet. You just go through and you fix this. Everything gets better really quick. But sometimes it's not that easy. And sometimes you need to take step by step and go through the entire process. We got to go look at how you read the green. We got to look at how you start the ball on the line. We got to look at speed control. And if you're willing to put the effort in and you're willing to do those diagnostics, well, then once you find the solution, at least you have the confidence that you've done the work. You know exactly what to work on. And from there, sky's the limit. So if you guys like content like this and you want to see more, please hit the subscribe and like button below.